Hi, welcome to the second episode of Gabbing with Gabby. And today I am here with my very, very, very good friend, Svava Brooks. We've known each other for a very long time. We've came into each other's lives and just saved each other. Basically, we love each other so much, right?
Yes, yes.
Yes. Svava is a child sexual abuse survivor and advocate. Would you say advocate? Yeah,
Yep.
definitely. She's also a CSA prevention educator. She's got a really long list that I'm cheating and I'm looking, and a certified TRV provider, which we'll talk about in a little bit, and a trauma recovery coach. So at the end of this video, Svava will share all her information, but she's got a very inspiring story that she's going to tell right now. So Svava, can you tell everybody how you got to the place that you are now, a little bit of your past, and then how you got to where you are now, helping people and changing their lives?
Thank you. I just want to first start by saying it just brings me so much joy to be here with you. You
Same
have
here.
played an important part in my journey, my healing, my parenting journey, and becoming a better partner and becoming a better, mom and a better woman and a friend especially. I'm going to tell
Yeah.
that story how you just showed up in my life. It's like I
Okay.
want to be your friend. And I was
Okay.
like,
Yeah, you
oh,
should
oh,
tell that one.
okay,
Yeah.
this woman is kind of intense.
Okay. We are going to be friends.
Yes. So I'm just going to start with that story because it just
Okay.
brings just so much joy to me. And the truth was, Gabby, I did not know how to be a good friend because of my childhood. And so I
Hmm.
will go back to that. But you were someone who just insisted. And I was like, okay, this is good. I really wanted to know what it was to open up, right? And to
Yeah,
have
right.
a really reciprocal, loving, kind, generous connection with another woman because I had also been hurt by a lot of women. So I
Hmm.
was always a little bit on guard. So I tell
Hmm.
stories about you to my clients, my friends. So
Oh, I
yeah,
love
so
that.
thank you. Thank
Oh,
you. You were my friend who taught me how to be a good friend.
oh, you're gonna make me cry. Don't do that.
Good. So my story, obviously I'm born and raised in Iceland,
Hmm.
coming to you from Portland, Oregon here today. I came to the States so many moons ago to go to college,
Hmm.
and found myself, a husband here and three kids later, right? A lot
Hmm.
of my friends who came from Iceland to come to the States to go to college ended up going back. I'm still here. It's been,
You're still here.
30 some years, but my childhood was basically I grew up in a home where there was domestic violence and there was emotional, physical, and sexual abuse. And
Mm.
so to kind of sum it up, it was that I never went to bed feeling safe in my house.
Mm.
And I can still remember the first time I said that out loud, right? Kind of summed it up like that because people can imagine there's a lot that um must have been going on for a kid to feel that way. But
Hmm.
what I've learned on my healing journey is that the devastating impact that had on
Hmm.
my body and how I felt about myself and how I related to the world because I literally was in a fight, flight, or freeze my whole
Hmm.
childhood. So knowing what safe was or safe people, I had no idea. I had no idea.
Right.
So, but because of that, the abuse happened when I was so young. I didn't even know what it was. And so it was very confusing. My stepfather was kind of the more loving parent at the time that made it very confusing for a little
Yep.
girl who was desperately seeking connection and validation and needing to be seen and heard by their caregiver, as all humans are driven to do when they're born and they're little. So I was very confused.
Mm-hmm.
And so as I grew older and I started put the pieces together, that something didn't feel right. But then I also started to feel like that somehow I was the one making this happen.
Mm-hmm.
And so then that made me turn on myself in a way that I felt responsible for what was happening at home. And I was the one who let the abuse happen. And with
Right.
those thoughts and beliefs, grew up feeling really, really bad about myself.
Mm-hmm.
I was really good at pretending. I was Little Miss
Yeah.
Perfect. I was, the straight A student. I excelled in sports. I did modeling, ballroom dancing. I mean, outwardly, I looked fine and wow, she's really got it together. But on the inside, whew, I was hurting. Um,
Mm-hmm.
acted out in many ways as a young person, started drinking and smoking pretty young. Um, very promiscuous through my young adolescence years. It's like it was very confusing, very dark, dark time for me. And so it
Mm.
wasn't until I came to the States that, so far away from the people hurting me, right? An ocean and a whole continent away,
Right.
that I was in college when my body literally started to break down.
Wow.
I was getting horrible physical pain, internal bleeding that I couldn't explain,
Mm.
and was blessed that I actually found a support group of women survivors of
Mm-hmm.
childhood sexual trauma. And I also was pregnant. I got pregnant, and that was kind of the catalyst for me, that I knew that unless I started really looking at what had happened to me in my childhood, I was petrified that I would somehow put my child in that situation, that something like that would happen to my kid. And so I started my healing for my unborn child and was in group for while I was pregnant. And like I said earlier, it wasn't until I started my healing that I really realized um, the impact of my childhood,
Mm.
the and how I thought and felt about myself, and how many of the ways I saw myself wasn't really me. It
Mm-hmm.
was, these were personality traits that
Mm-hmm.
showed up because of trauma, right? Like I thought for a long time, I'm just a perfectionist. I just like things to be a certain way. No, I was a control freak.
Yeah.
And most survivors are
Right.
control freaks and we become really good at seeing around corners, of scanning
Mm.
the environment, of, how people are feeling. And we can be
Right.
incredibly codependent, and we can highly attune to, oh, that person, okay, I'm leaving, right?
Right. Yeah,
Um,
as a way to protect yourself.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So slowly, once I started my healing journey, started to see that I was just a textbook example of an adult that had a pretty rotten childhood. And
Mm-hmm.
most of how I felt about myself wasn't true. It was never
Mm-hmm.
my fault. And like all the feelings that I had were real and valid. It was
Mm-hmm.
not very safe to start to feel them or express them. But
Mm-hmm.
again, my motivation to get in touch with my feelings and express that truth, that hurt, was
Mm-hmm.
that I didn't want to pass that on to my kids.
Right. Yeah, you needed to break the cycle.
Yep. Yeah,
I had to start
exactly.
somewhere. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then from that point, when you realized, okay, I need to break this cycle, and then you started your next journey,
Yes.
which go
So
ahead and,
basically, yeah, it was 10 years into my healing when I realized, if I had had adults around me growing up that had talked about child sexual abuse, I had talked about, that it's happening. I mean, 25% of our kids are sexually abused before they turn 18.
wow,
One out of every four
that's an
girls.
astonishing number.
Yep. One out of every six boys. And so I set off to educate people and been doing that now for over 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of shocking in the beginning how people were resistant to talking about it. But I also
Mm-hmm.
realized I'm asking people to acknowledge something that is so pervasive, and chances are there's more people than we realize that have been exposed to it, or something is hurt to them or someone they love, and it's just too painful, too painful.
Sure, it's your dark secret that you didn't want to tell anybody. One, you feel ashamed, and two, like you said, you felt like you did something wrong. So I'm not going to tell anybody that. I'm going to keep
Yep,
that to myself because that's the dark side of me that I don't want anybody to see.
yep,
It's
yep,
completely opposite, isn't it?
yep. And sometimes, like for me, when I finally found my voice and chose me, my truth, I basically cut my mom out of my life for 5 years. I didn't speak to my siblings for 15 years because
Mm-hmm.
I rocked the boat. I came
Mm-hmm.
forward with the truth and no one wanted to know. It was like, can you just stop talking about it? And so
Mm-hmm.
often as survivors, we know that people don't want us to talk about it. And
Mm-hmm.
so often that's why we don't, or we talk about it in safe places in our groups. So yeah, so 15 years of doing that, was
Mm-hmm.
very healing for myself to use my voice, pulling
Mm-hmm.
from somewhere the courage to be a voice for a lot of people, and really kind of confronting people about, no, we got to talk about this. The fact that
Right.
you're uncomfortable talking about it tells me that there might be someone around you who isn't telling you your
Mm-hmm.
discomfort. That person, because people tell me their stories in the grocery store. I mean, just the fact, because I'm so at ease with it, people just like, oh yeah, that happened to me, and then here it comes their story, and I just stand there and I'm like, yeah, I hear you, I get it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
then as time went on, I started to kind of put together the pieces for myself about my own healing. No longer was I healing for my kids, but I really
Mm-hmm.
started to realize I have to heal for me, because guess who they're learning from? So
Right.
I needed to model a human that was happy, fulfilled, and knew how to
Mm-hmm.
take care of herself, and was in touch with her emotions and
Mm-hmm.
knew who she was, right?
Right.
And so,
Mm-hmm.
and that was again a turning point where I kind of shifted from, definitely moved on from being a victim, which is an important step in recovery. We have to acknowledge that we were victimized. We cannot step over that step,
Mm-hmm.
and feel that hurt and the outrage. And then I'd been in that survival mode for a long time, and I was definitely ready to shift into thriving. I'm like, I don't want to just be a survivor forever. And it was really a
Mm-hmm.
lifestyle change. I had kind of around that time, I had survivors coming to me asking, it's like, Svava, how did you figure this out? You seem like you're doing okay. I mean, of course, I'm human and not perfect by whatever that is, by any stretch of the imagination. If anything, I'm a recovering perfectionist, because that was my cover for so long, trying to
Mm-hmm.
pretend I had it all together.
Right.
So I started to, facilitate support groups for other survivors.
Mm-hmm.
Just became very natural to me because I'm not afraid to talk about it. And I know
Mm-hmm.
I can't fix your hurt, but I can sit and hold the space, and I won't judge. And because I know
Mm-hmm.
that was what helped me the most. Just, another fellow human leaning in and
Mm-hmm.
warmth and kindness. Like, don't look away from me in shock or, shame when I tell you the horrible things that happened to
Yeah.
me. None of it was my fault. And so I it came kind of naturally to do that for others.
Mm-hmm.
And then slowly over time, that evolved into me exploring more different healing modalities, the tools that really helped me that I'm still using. I'm a huge fan of doing inner child work. I had
Mm-hmm.
to become the parent and the protector that I needed.
Mm-hmm.
And and I have a picture of my 6-year-old self on my nightstand, because there will never be another day where she will think that she won't matter, that she doesn't
Right.
matter. So I see her, hey baby girl,
Mm-hmm.
I see you, and also in terms of that, what I call like a lifestyle change, radically taking good care of myself. And
Mm-hmm.
you played a part in that, my friend, because it was like when I turned 40, all of a sudden it was like, okay, I guess I'm an old woman. I can't be an athlete anymore. I guess I'm just gonna, get old, and that's it. And
Right.
so it was through working out with you in the park when I was just like, no, there's still a lot of life left in this body. For some
Yeah.
reason, I had a block around that. It
Yeah.
was very weird.
Well, you
So
had a different vision of what it's supposed to look like, right? I got to
yes,
be all out doing these crazy things instead of adapting to where you are. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So I
Yeah.
talk a lot about self-care because I
Mhm.
know enough about trauma and stress
Mhm.
and the impact and the toll it takes on our bodies that actually had seen a study in 2006 that basically, showed graphic on the graph the level of trauma that I'd been through, that chances were that I might have lost 20 years of my life because of the
Wow.
level of stress. So
Mhm.
that was the kick in the butt that I needed, to really work on really falling in love with this body, because we know
Yes.
epigenetics, right? If I put this
Mhm.
body in a different environment, calmer environment, healthier,
Mhm.
more holistic,
Mhm.
environment, it will start to respond. Our bodies are healing machines. If we can just
Right.
discharge the stress, and I know right now we're all buckling underneath it, but really, really taking good care of
Of
me.
your body and yeah, your body, yourself. And this is a
Yeah,
good time to mention TRE because that is a big part of releasing trauma from your body. And I've done TRE with you before. We've done it even virtually over the phone, and then you told me
yep,
how to do it. And I think it's great. And I know that you lead classes and you've done a lot of trainings. So talk about that. First, tell people what the acronym is because
sure.
I think that's an important title and how it works.
Yes. TRE stands for tension and trauma releasing exercises. And
Hmm.
basically, what it is that through these 7 very easy yoga, poses or
Hmm.
stretches, we basically activate and access the wisdom that all our bodies already have.
Hmm.
And so what it does is that it brings up this tremor, these shaking mechanism in our
Hmm.
bodies, that if we look to mammals, all mammals, when they've been attacked or been through something traumatic and the perpetrator goes away, or the lion, if it's a gazelle or something on the
Hmm.
African plains, she
Right.
will lay there and shake. She starts to shake. Her nervous system has played dead, right? Fight, flight, or freeze, or collapse.
Hmm.
That's what she did. That was the safest course of action. Her mind and body decided in that moment, we need to play safe. That may save us. And
Hmm.
when the lion, wandered off thinking, okay, I'm coming back to my lunch later, right? The gazelle
Right.
starts to shake. Her nervous system senses the danger is past. The nervous system starts to tremor. It releases all the hormones that were pumped into the system to fight or
Hmm.
flee, right?
Hmm.
Toxic in the moment, good, but
Yes.
left in the body is toxic. It
Hmm.
releases that, helps the animal to come back into this present moment, self
Hmm.
regulated, calm, slow breath, and it
Hmm.
goes on with our life. Humans
Yes.
have this same capacity as well to
Mm.
complete the stress cycle, but we get stuck in a loop that
Yeah.
something traumatic happened, we get tight, right? And then we don't relax after. And
Hmm.
then there is stress, and then you build more stress on top of more stress and more stress. So
Hmm.
these tremors, when safely activated with a practitioner, and I've been doing both groups and one-on-one over the internet,
Hmm.
helps you to access the part of your nervous system that knows how to relax, that knows how to complete the stress cycle.
Hmm.
And so it helps us with day-to-day stress, and it
Hmm.
also can go deeper and help with like old trauma, tension
Hmm.
patterns that often today for elderly, or as we're getting older adults, those
Hmm.
aches and pains that are chronic in our bodies, often it's a tension pattern that you've been
Hmm.
hanging on for a while. And
Yeah.
so it's been powerful for me. It's been 5 years ago since I started. And what really kind of pulled me toward it is that I found myself in these knee-jerk reactions. I had,
Hmm.
done all the emotional healing. I had told my story to death. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And yet my body was like, I found myself in these repeated compulsive patterns. And
Mm-hmm.
so with TRE, I was able to release some of those patterns. And so all
Yeah.
of a sudden it created this pause.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what do I want to choose in this situation?
Mm-hmm.
I no longer was catapulted into the past, where
Mm-hmm.
that part of my brain who stores a lot of those memories that doesn't know the difference between then and now. I
Mm-hmm.
was able to recognize I am a grown up now. I can
Mm-hmm.
make a different decision. I can set a boundary. I can
Mm-hmm.
ask for what I need. So it's
Mm-hmm.
been very powerful. And so it's one of the tools that I empower my clients with. And so anyone I feel like can benefit from TRE.
Yeah. And anyone can do it. It's very simple. It's real simple stretches to pretty much get you prepared to be there. And then you're
Yep.
literally, your body's shaking. It's like you just
Yep.
really shaking. You know, I think of it as, when you're driving and you almost get into that car accident. You're like, and then
Yeah.
or you see one and you have that reaction
Yep.
and everything is fine, okay? And then you drive along, but you just still feel like this shaking in your body, or even going to a haunted house, which is perfect, for Halloween now. You're going into a
Yes.
haunted house and you get scared and you come out, you're like still shaking a little, like, I'm so scared, I'm shaking. That's basically, the same premise. Is your body is like, okay, we need to get rid of all this extra energy that we don't need, extra toxins. They need to get out and move out of your body. Yeah. So I know that you see people virtually and you talk to people on the phone and you have groups. You've also written a few books. If
Couple of books.
you'd like
Yes.
to show them.
Yes. Here's one and here's the other. And they're all workbooks.
Yes.
So, like I said, making that shift from surviving to thriving, it's a daily practice, right?
Yes.
It's like we need sleep every day, we need to move our bodies every day, we need food every day, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
and actually, as we speak, I'm actually making an audio book out of this one where people can
Oh,
sign
that's
up to get
fantastic.
to get one little nugget every single day. And that
Oh,
should be
great.
ready in a couple months. So I'm
Oh, I
excited
love
about that.
that. You have such a soothing voice too, so it works out perfect.
Well,
You do have
I decided maybe I'll listen to that because I have a lot of my clients, who will actually listen to my YouTube videos or some of the meditations that I've given them. It helps them to fall asleep.
Yeah,
So
you do have a very comforting and soothing voice, and we'll put those links in the descriptions below so that you can order her
thank
books
you.
and hopefully hear her meditations, and it'll put you to sleep too. One of the
Not
things
while
that
you're
I
driving,
wanted
right?
to, yeah, right. No, not while you're driving. One of the things I wanted to mention, when you said, talking about stuff, really, and you holding a space for someone. And a long time ago, I think I got the bucket from you. Did you mention the bucket? I don't even know how, but the bucket and you are connected somehow.
Yes.
And I've gotten a lot of people now, a lot of my circle friends who will text me and say, I need a bucket.
Yes.
Everybody knows what the bucket is. And the bucket basically is somebody, your safe person for you, someone in your circle who you call, you are just having the worst day or whatever it is, and you say, I need a bucket, and they go, okay, I got it, I'm here. You can say all those crazy things that are in your mind, whatever it is. It can be totally irrational because that's sometimes what we have to do in order to get to the other side. We're so amped up and so upset that we just gotta, and I hate this and I hate that and I can't believe this and blah, 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 and all these things. You just got to get it out, and you just need that safe person to listen and go, I hear you, I got you, I hear you, and just listen and feel heard and acknowledge your feelings so that you can get to the other side and go, okay, but here's my part, or here's what I really need to do, and here's how I'm really feeling, whatever it is, right? So
Yes.
the bucket is it's a real thing.
Yes, it is. And it's interesting you say that because I definitely tell my clients to find some friends that can hold the bucket for you.
Yes.
But the truth is, what we're really doing is, as humans, we're seeking someone to co-regulate with. Like our nervous
Mhm.
system, we're so tight and exhausted or upset. We just need
Mhm.
someone to kind of like, as another human, heart to heart, just to help co-regulating this nervous system so we can come back into balance, because we
Mhm.
all know what we need to do. We are pretty smart, but
We do.
when we tip into that overwhelm, we just are wrapped up in the feeling. And so just to give
Mhm.
ourselves to feel the feeling, which is beautiful. It's a mindfulness practice. I'm just going to be with
Mhm.
the emotion without judging it. And we kind
Mhm.
of model that for each other. Yeah. Where do we have to, where are we burying the body? Whatever. I'm no judgment, right? It's like
Right, exactly.
whatever is going on in
Whatever
the
you need
world.
to do. I'll hold your hair
Exactly.
back, you go.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Exactly.
Yes.
So, you do all these great things, and there's no end to you always finding a way to empower yourself or to bring more joy into your life, right? And since COVID has happened and you've had some changes in your world go on, aside from COVID, you've discovered that you are an artist. You can own it now. You can say, I am an artist.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so you
Yes.
started painting and you're finding that every morning you're waking up and you are so happy because you can't wait to get to your painting process. And if you can show that picture that you just showed me earlier, it's so beautiful. It just brings me so much joy. I think of Iceland when I see that. I think of Christmas, Iceland, but like a lot of happy things I think of when I look at that. I see a lot of you in there,
Aw.
Um, but you can see and feel the joy when you look at that picture. Yeah.
Yes, and
So,
and and most of my things are just, they're just coming. I'm not trained at all. But what's been
mhm,
so magical about this experience, obviously my kids are now growing up. It's like, so there's a space opening up in my world for something new.
mhm,
And once I started painting, like I literally had a flashback that I used to be drawn to painting before I became a mom. But
mhm.
right, I didn't have room for, because I was still healing. And now that I'm
Right.
kind of more in the thriving stage, all of a sudden
Mhm.
this creativity is like flooding through, and it's bringing me so much joy. I mean, I'm forced to stay at
Yes.
home, right? What a better thing to do. And so now I'm constantly like, wait, what else have I told myself that I can't do?
Yeah.
Because I've been telling myself, you're not an artist. No, you can't do that. You can't play with
Mhm.
whatever. So now I'm just doing it for the fun of it. It's not my old perfectionist, right? It has to look a certain
Yeah.
way.
It's got to be
Choosing,
in the lines, perfect colors.
no,
Yeah.
now I'm just doodling. Like I said, I have in every corner of my house, there's
Oh, look at
something,
that.
you
That's
know?
there's just it's so colorful and so happy. You can see a lot of happy in there. Mhm.
Yeah,
It's very pretty. I love those colors. Well, I like purple, even though you can't really see it right
yeah,
now.
exactly. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's a never ending journey.
I know there's always something, and I wanted to start these little mini interviews. One, because I know so many cool people, right? I know a lot of really incredible people, and I'm personally, I know a lot of people feel the same way as I do, sick and tired of going on social media, and I'm totally over it. Like it just
Yes.
if
Yes.
I didn't have to be on social media, I wouldn't do it, but I have to because I got to somehow build my business, right, in this virtual world. And so, uh, out of this whole COVID thing, I feel like some of us have really been able to find a way to adapt and do things different and find joy in a whole another way. You're finding joy in painting, that you found a niche here for you. Not that you're using it to out in the world, but you can use it to help other people, right? You found a little niche. And for myself, it's like, oh, well, I love teaching virtually, and I'm
Yes.
finding that I love doing these little interviews. I find them to be very fun, and I'm hoping that it'll bring joy to other people, at least for a short amount of time. They can feel inspired by people like you who have experienced a lot of trauma, but have come out on the other side. And there's tons of ways that people can get a hold of you. So if you want to tell right now a couple of the ways, you know, your website, your Instagram, your Facebook, your all of it, you can say right now, and then we'll add it to
Or
the list of things that we're going to put in the comments.
well, I think the easiest thing is just to Google my name, because there's no other Svava Brooks out there, and you will find my website. Oh, my website, svavabrooks.com,
There's
where I
no other
post.
Svava Brooks out there? You're the
No, I
one and
haven't
only? There's a
found one.
lot of
Yeah.
Svavas, but not
Yes.
Svava with an
Yeah.
American last name,
No,
Brooks.
exactly. But I'm on, wherever you are, I'm probably there too. But my website, svavabrooks.com, probably gets
Okay.
you to a little more about me and the services that I provide, and where else you could find me on social media. So
Yeah. Well, thank you, Svava. You're always supporting me. You're always supporting my ideas. Sometimes I go through with them, sometimes I don't, but you're always there no matter what. You've been a fantastic friend always. You're one of my top
oh,
people. You're one of my go-tos, you know, when I need something, you're definitely a bucket holder for me and an inspiration to me, and I tell you that all the time. I watch you, and I our lives are very similar, right? In terms of our personal lives and stuff like that, we've had a lot of similar things, and so when I think that I can't do this, I look at you and I go, yeah, but Svava can do it. I can do it too.
there you go. There you
You know,
go.
and she's tough. And I look up to Svava, and if she can do it, I can do it too.
Oh, that's
So you always been,
makes me so happy to hear. I tell my clients that if I can do it, you can do it. Trust me,
yeah,
So, but
yeah. And you
thank
just,
you, thank you, thank
and
you,
you
thank
know, you
you.
speak a lot about just empowering yourself to to do something about to take care of yourself. You know, you got to start with little baby steps to take care of yourself, because there is a light at the end of the tunnel, is what you had mentioned to me in my little pre-interview thing, you know? So yeah, don't give up out there. You keep trying. And if it doesn't work today, that's okay. There's always tomorrow. And you just take little baby steps, and eventually you'll get there, right?
Yep, absolutely. And I just want to say, Gabby, I feel absolutely the same way about you.
Hmm.
When I need someone, you're it. So thank you, my friend.
It's
You've
a
made
big
a
old love
huge.
fest.
Yes, exactly. So thank you. It's just been,
Thank
I'm
you.
so excited for you to do this, because you are also so much fun to hang out with, and people are going to love this.
Thanks. All right. Well, we'll end it here, and we'll put all her Slava's information in the description below, and you can reach out to her. You can tell her that you've heard her interview and ask her any questions and share with your friends. So thank you for joining us today. See you later.
Bye.